Just a couple of days ago, it felt like the sky was falling, didn't it? Of course, it wasn't really, but things were looking rough in the crypto world. Bitcoin dropped into the upper $90,000 and XRP sank as low as $1.91. Fast forward to today, and things are looking way brighter. XRP is back up to $2.18, and Bitcoin has climbed back to $105,885. In this video, I'm diving deep into XRP with insights from 9 different chart analysts. It's going to be packed with XRP content, including thoughts from the blockchain backer who had this to say: "You are not bullish enough. Let's break it all down." Now this, I love. So much fun. The blockchain backer doesn't usually talk like that, so when he does, it really stands out. And for good reason. I really respect the way he breaks down situations we're in. He's always super careful with his words, and he's mentioned before that he doesn't want to come off as too hypey, and he definitely doesn't. That's why when he says something like this, which is totally reasonable, it catches my attention. And you know what? He's absolutely right. I'll show you exactly why he said that in just a moment. But first, just to be clear, I don't have a financial background. I'm not giving financial advice. And you definitely shouldn't make any buying or selling decisions based on what I say or write. Hey, everyone. So as I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Quick update. XRP hit $2.21 earlier today. Pretty exciting, right? Especially considering it was just $1.91 the other day. And check this out. Bitcoin climbed up to $106,077.00. Crazy, but definitely not the end of the world like some were worried about. Remember, a lot of analysts warned there could be one last dip, and I said the same, nothing to panic over. Hopefully you stayed calm and didn't get shaken out. Check this out. Charlie Bolello, chief market strategist at Creative Planning, shared an interesting post. He included a chart and mentioned that over the weekend, the US bombed Iran. The surprising twist: stocks rose 1% today, and crude oil dropped 9%. Totally expected, right? Cue the sarcasm. The initial reaction was full of doom and gloom predictions about a massive economic fallout, but that's not how things have turned out. In fact, it looks like the conflict between Israel and Iran might be cooling off. A ceasefire has been implemented, and fingers crossed it holds. Things could actually be settling down here. From a market perspective, it's far from the disaster many feared. People panicked and got shaken up, but the world isn't ending, especially not for the markets. Take a look at the S&P 500 today. It's up 1.11% at 6092. Everything's fine, folks. Seriously, breathe easy. I came across a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto that really stuck with me. He said, "Storms come and go, but the map always stays the same." It's such a great reminder. Sure, there might be a few different paths to get to your destination, but the goal doesn't change. Hopefully you didn't let short-term price swings throw you off your bigger plan, because as it turns out, the storm seems to have passed and we're still on track. In simple terms, he's saying the worst of this cycle is probably behind us. Now it's just a matter of time before we start heading back up. Check out this post from the blockchain backer. It's the one I mentioned at the start of the video. It's not only fun, but super fascinating too. What you're looking at here is the stock price chart for Coinbase, those red and green bars. What's really cool is that he overlaid it with the total 3 chart. Now, for those who don't know, the total 3 chart tracks the top 125 coins by market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So basically it's everything else, XRP included. So here's where it gets interesting. There's a super clear and strong correlation between the two. If you zoom out and look at the last couple of years, you'll notice that they move together. And get this, Coinbase tends to lead with the rest of the market following behind. Have you noticed what happens when Coinbase's stock price makes a big move? In the past, whenever there's been a major jump, something interesting usually follows, like the behavior of XRP and others on the charts. I'll be honest, I don't usually keep an eye on Coinbase's stock price. Maybe I should, though. Every now and then someone points it out to me and I'll mention it, but I'm not super proactive about checking it. That might need to change. Take a look at this recent spike. It's huge. This big jump happened just over the last week, and while there might be a little lag time, history shows us that these movements tend to bring something exciting our way. If this pattern keeps up, we could be in for something good. Looks like we might be in for an exciting summer instead of a boring one. Think hot, hot, hot price action. While nothing is guaranteed, history shows that the 4th year of market cycles tends to be anything but boring. And guess what? We're in the 4th year of a market cycle right now. So take that as you will, but wouldn't it be exciting if things heated up sooner than expected? It's interesting to see how closely investors are tying Coinbase's stock performance to the overall crypto market. It's almost like Coinbase has become a barometer for the entire crypto asset class. What's fascinating is how Coinbase has often been out in front, seemingly leading the price action. And right now, here we are. Coinbase stock is sitting at $344. Chart shows Coinbase's stock price over the last year. So get this, not even kidding. This recent jump we're seeing started just a week ago on June 17th. Back then, it was sitting at $253, and now it's up to $344. Crazy, right? So the blockchain backer pointed out, you're not bullish enough. And honestly, that really stood out to me, just like it did for so many others. It makes a lot of sense, and I think he's on to something here. Even if we have to wait a bit longer, it feels like it's heading in the right direction. Oh, and speaking of the blockchain backer, I checked out his latest video. If you haven't watched it yet, you definitely should. He shared some great insights that are worth mentioning, and I'll highlight a couple of those here for you. Definitely give it a watch when you get a chance. He always does an amazing job breaking things down and explaining what's happening in a way that's super easy to understand. Anyway, he mentioned that this might be the end of the C leg, which, by the way, he's been predicting for months now, and it finally happened. Here's how these things usually go. Markets might recover at first, which we're seeing now, but there's also a chance of a double dip. That means Bitcoin could take another hit, dropping back into the $90,000 range or even lower, below $2. It's definitely possible. He even pointed out at least one example from the past where a similar pattern led to that kind of dip. But overall, he doesn't think that's the most likely outcome this time around. That's not usually how things go. Most of the time, it's just a quick warning. And honestly, in situations like this, as he mentioned in his video, you sometimes have to just ride it out, moving sideways for a bit before finally blasting off. We'll know soon enough whether we're going to keep pushing forward from here or if we'll need to take a bit of a sideways detour first. Either way, he still believes we're headed for one last big parabolic move to wrap up this Bitcoin bull run. And of course, after that, we'll see the altcoin season kick in. He shared this post earlier today from the blockchain backer. Here's what he said. Seems like a good spot for some random news to pop up for XRP in the next few days and send it shooting to $2.60. Honestly, wouldn't that be amazing? It feels like the perfect time for something like that to happen. Of course, price action doesn't always need news to kick things off. Markets move regardless, but hey, news can definitely act as a catalyst. Even without a big event, I think we could still see XRP take off. The key is that something always sparks the movement, whether it's news or just market dynamics. Either way, he's absolutely right about that. Check this out. Chart analyst Zoom just shared an XRP/USD chart, and things are getting exciting. He's pointing out that XRP is nearing the end of a symmetrical triangle. And here's the kicker. He says July is going to be one heck of a month. In his words, you're not bullish enough. Another analyst even chimed in with the same sentiment. This was posted earlier today at 1:47 p.m. Central Time, and wow, it feels like we're on the edge of something big. When you see this kind of progression volatility decreasing and the range tightening, it's like watching a coiled spring. Almost every time, these setups break before reaching the apex. And since we're in a bull market, what do you think happens next? If I had to guess, I'd say when this breaks, it's heading up, not down. Midday, that's where my money's at. What's your call? Here's an update from chart analyst Zoom that caught my eye. He mentions that now that XRP has swept the $2 liquidity zone, the big question is, what's next? According to him, there are scattered sell walls between $2.40 and $2.65, but breaking through that range should be relatively easy, especially with some good news. He expects a likely pit stop around the $2.60 zone, right? Interestingly, that's the same level highlighted by the blockchain banker. Once XRP breaks out of that range, the next challenge is the $3 zone. And beyond that, we could be looking at new all-time highs for XRP. Exciting, right? It's great to see this level of confidence from the analyst I follow. Sure, there was a short dip that shook some people up, but honestly, it doesn't mean much. As I've said before, temporary dips are just part of how markets work. We're still firmly in a bull market, and this is not how bull runs end, folks. Here's an update from chart analyst Casey Trades on the XRP/USD chart. Yesterday, we were keeping a close eye on a potential test of the $1.90 fib level, which lines up with the macro 0.5 retracement. Price bounced from $1.91, but didn't quite hit that $1.90 support level perfectly. Instead, XRP stopped just above it at $1.90. and was met with strong buying interest right away. This kind of front-running behavior is often a big sign of strength. It shows that buyers were ready to step in at that level and weren't waiting around for a perfect touch. They wanted in. The market basically revealed its hand, and the strong reaction confirmed it. It also tells us something important. Buyers wanted XRP and were willing to grab it at lower prices. But many didn't wait. They started buying even higher than what the market might have anticipated. That strong reaction says a lot. As Casey points out, this bounce happened right at the end of consolidation, which is classic market behavior if you've been following the charts for a while. A compression into the apex, a fake out drop, and then a surge that flips the pattern to kick off the next trend. That's exactly what seems to be happening right now. Remember how I just showed you the chart a moment ago? Let me zoom in again to show you what I mean. We're nearing the end of the symmetrical triangle, and here's the apex right here. As I mentioned before, markets tend to break before reaching the apex almost every time. So here's the deal. There was a fake out to the downside, but if you've been following this channel, you were ready for it. I've shared countless warnings from analysts about this exact scenario. And let's be real, when that many skilled analysts are saying the same thing, the chances of them being right go way up. If you paid attention, this shouldn't have been a surprise. The good news, they all pointed to this being a setup for some really strong moves ahead. So here's the thing. She points out that the structure of the reset low is super interesting. It's impulsive, not corrective. This isn't your typical slow grind correction. It actually looks like the start of wave 3 heading toward new all-time highs. That's a solid reason to lean bullish right now, even though we could still see some bumps along the way. We're not completely out of the woods yet, though. For XRP to really break out, it needs to push through two big resistance levels. First up is $2.25, which lines up with the .382 macro retracement and has been a major resistance point before. Then there's $2.69, the .236 retracement. These are key macro levels, and breaking through them with confidence would confirm this isn't just a temporary bounce. It's the start of a real trend shift. On the flip side, we now have support around $2.14, which is the 382 retracement from the wave up off the $1.90 low. We've hit a key level, and for this move to stay strong, it's important that this holds as our new local base. The momentum is definitely on our side, and the bounce from the lows is exactly what we were hoping for. Now, the big question, can XRP push through resistance with this strength? It's still early, but this is how real meaningful moves start. Honestly, how can you not be excited right now? If this doesn't get your pulse racing, are you even paying attention? Seriously, look at what's happening here. Things are about to get wild. Check out this update from chart analyst XR Punkies. My target for XRP this cycle has always been between $26 and $33, still holding strong and staying confident. Here's an interesting post from Crypto Wizard. They're talking about a weekly formation, and you know what that means. The longer it lasts, the bigger the move. XRP has been moving sideways and consolidating for the past 30 weeks. Remember the last time this happened? It exploded. Now, it's just a matter of time before this ascending triangle breaks and XRP pushes past $2.80. That lines up with what I keep seeing from most of the reliable chart analysts I follow. XRP is nearing the end of its range. It's not going to sit here forever. When it moves, it's going to rocket to the upside. So when might that happen? Let's check in with chart analyst Agrig Crypto. They're saying the breakout is coming soon, backed by math. Breakouts from triangle formations, whether symmetrical, ascending, or descending, tend to happen when the pattern is 75% to 95% complete. For a 334-day pattern, that means the breakout could occur around 75% of the way through, which is roughly 251 days in right around the first week of July 2025. Pretty fascinating, right? If we look at the 95% mark, that's 317 days into the pattern, putting us in mid-September 2025. And hey, technically, that's still summer. So if things follow this timeline, no guarantees, of course, we could see a breakout anytime between early July and mid-September 2025. The good news, we won't have to wait too much longer. All right, everyone, we're nearing the end of this range and something big is likely on the horizon. This kind of pattern is totally normal too. If we look back at the last two cycles, XRP had its first big pump to the upside, then moved sideways for about 6 months. After that, it had its second and final major pump of the cycle before things settled down. So if history repeats itself, there's definitely something exciting to look forward to. Here's an update from Dark Defender. June promised to bring the heat, and it's definitely starting to show. On the weekly chart, XRP is gearing up to break out of its descending triangle. Key levels to watch: $2.19, $2.22, and $2.33, with support at $2.07 and $1.88. XRP is holding strong with its cup pattern. Check. Ikimoku cloud signal check. A breakout toward the all-time high feels closer than ever. Here is a post from Chart Analyst. Steph is crypto. Perfect bounce for XRP. Congrats if you didn't panic sell. They're referring to when XRP dipped to around $1.90, $1.91, then boom, it bounced back beautifully. Unfortunately, we panic sold. Oops, our bad. But here we are now, and this ride isn't over yet, folks. As the blockchain backer said, you're not crazy. Quick reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't make any buy or sell decisions based solely on what I say. Always do your own research.